Hey Instagram, hey Facebook, hey St. Patrick's. We're here continuing our vocation interview series, this time with Mr. Rooney, the only non-priest. So this is a cool twist today. So, Mr. Rooney, how are you doing?
I'm doing swell.
What's in your big Batman mug? You asked me that question.
It's just water today.
Just water.
Trying to stay hydrated.
Just water today. Notice. I like that mug.
Thank you. When I drink, it's so big. I feel like I'm like a king when I'm drinking it.
Yeah. Did you want to be Batman growing up?
I don't know how much you say, but my brother was very much like that. My brother Donald, who you knew growing up.
Yes, I did know.
But I do have a Batman costume, and I got in a lot of trouble with Batman costume. A lot of fun.
Okay. What trouble?
Oh no. I'm trying to think
Come on.
what's appropriate for Facebook.
Keep it PG.
Okay, so the Halloween, I think my sophomore year in college. So to be fair, I'm actually still in college seminary as well.
Okay.
I go to some missionaries, friends, Vocation missionaries, invite me to the Halloween parade in the village in New York City. I'm like, oh, missionaries, this should be great. And I go and I dress up as Batman. My buddy Nero, who's a missionary, is also dressed up as a homemade Batman. And we're in the parade, and I'm in the parade with all the missionaries. We're having a great time. If you've ever been to this parade, it's like actual parade of people are marching in it with their costumes on. There's people on the sides. And whenever I put on my Batman costume, I go completely in character.
Okay.
So occasionally I would run up to someone and be like, "Where's Rachel?" I should have got punched in the face. It's a much longer story. I have to wait for the train. I get off the train. I'm running through Jamaica, Queens at midnight in my Batman costume. Running up to me, people, "Excuse me, where's the queue for this?" It's a very long story for a different day, but
Okay, well that's a good segment. I like that. Okay, so we're going to talk about your vocation background, your vocation history. So I think a good place to start is always your childhood. Now, you gave us the Batman story. Growing up, you mentioned your brother. What was family life in the Rooney household?
It was a Catholic household as well. There's 5 of us kids. My older sister Bridget, Donald, Timmy, me, then my sister Mary.
Okay.
But at age 8, my dad passed away.
Oh wow.
So a lot of chaos, a lot of like anger and hurt, and a lot of emotions after that.
Okay.
So it took several years for healing, I think, to really happen.
As a group?
Yeah, as a group, but also individually. We each had time to heal. Different siblings had different areas of times for healing. I think my time was at Holy Trinity, and then being more done at I would say in the seminary.
That must have been extremely difficult.
Yeah, it really was. But just seeing how amazing my mom was throughout all of it.
Excellent. And when did you first think about being a priest? Was she encouraging that? Your family?
Yeah, me and my brothers both thought about the priesthood. And I think my sisters, at least I know, especially my younger sister Mary, considered religious life to an extent. I remember at 9 years old, my uncle Michael asked me what I want to be when I grow up. And I said either a priest or a garbage man. Get around on the back of the truck.
Make a lot of money.
Cool things. But so the idea was always there. I think then when I got to high school, I would say freshman year of high school, I realized how pretty girls were.
Yes.
So I was like, nope, not for me. I think I had a normal high school experience. I dated, I played a lot of sports, but I tried to put that on the back burner.
Do you think girls will stop being pretty once you're a priest?
Doesn't that happen?
As soon as ordination happens, everyone becomes ugly. So you entered, who was the vocation director you first contacted?
So I would say even before that was the chaplain at Holy Trinity High School, Father Joe Fitzgerald.
Okay.
And he was very much encouraging for the whole priesthood thing. I remember my sophomore year, he was inviting me to, before that, my freshman year, he was inviting me to these events like Operation Andrew.
Yes.
How he phrased it was like, hey, you want to have dinner with the bishop? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I remember there was this family at St. Joseph's that had Bishop Murphy over for dinner. My mom was always jealous of them. So I was like, oh, I can dinner with the bishop now. Once I arrived, I didn't know this. It was a bunch of seminarians and people considering the priest. Father Joe did not say that.
Maybe clarify, what is the Operation Andrew again?
The Operation Andrew is a time for seminarians and young men to come and just have dinner together, and the bishop is there as well. I thought we were just having dinner with the bishop. There's like 100 people there.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like saying having mass with the Pope.
Yeah.
There's 20,000 people between you and him.
And then I remember sophomore year, I was out at football practice, about to go like outside. I remember I'm on the gravel, and I turned to Father Joe and I said, Father Joe, you gotta stop inviting me to these priestly events. Like I'm not mature enough to be a priest. Looking back, of course, I wasn't mature enough to be a priest, but at 15, that doesn't mean I can't be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think throughout high schools, it was always in the back of my head, but I try to give it a stiff arm, like not for me. And then my senior year of high school, I was offered a cross-country scholarship to run at Ave Maria University in Florida. It was only a partial scholarship. It was a dream come true. I'm very competitive, as the 8th grade basketball team knows at this point.
We've heard.
But I'm not a very good coach, as they know too. But
well, you keep mentioning sports. Do you feel like as a priest you're going to have to kind of just toss all that out?
No,
going to be challenging?
definitely. I don't think definitely not.
Okay.
Because after I turned down the scholarship and I entered the seminary, I thought at the time more likely than not I wasn't going to end up becoming a priest. But let me go give it a shot. I didn't want to go to Ave, go run there, go study there. Then I would probably just continue dating. And I didn't want to be at the point I want to get engaged to a young woman and have the priest in the back of my head. So I was like, let me go to the seminary, get rid of it.
Right.
And to the sports question as a priest, that first summer after my college year, for first year of college, I was able to actually bicycle to California.
Wow, you biked from New York to California?
Rhode Island to California.
Rhode Island to California.
With a team of 30 young adults who raised
wow, how long did that take you?
That took 77 days.
77 days.
59 biking days, 14 build days. So we built like Habitat for Humanity. And
I could have done it in 76. See, he's competitive, ladies and gentlemen.
And then the summer after that, myself, I think the Holy Spirit inspired me this idea to bike again. But this time, bike for the church, as I think you knew.
Right, biking for. Tell me a little bit.
Yeah,
about
it was called Biking for Vocations. Myself, 2 priests, and 2 other seminarians biked from Florida to New York.
Okay.
Promoting vocation. So we went to schools and churches, speaking to young people about being open to God's calling in their lives.
Incredible. Now, how many years have you been in seminary?
I finished 6 years of seminary, and now I'm in my pastoral year, in the 7th year.
And so you'd have 2 more after this before ordination?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at what point would you say in seminary does discernment stop? We always talk to people about how we're considering being a priest. When would you say the gear switches? Because at some point the gear has to switch to I'm thinking about it and now I'm actually just going ahead with it. Does that happen right at ordination? Does that happen a year out? Does that happen 2 years out? When does that switch gears?
I think it's probably different for every guy. For me, I remember in my first year or first 2 years or so of college seminary, every 2 weeks I'd go to a spiritual director, and every 2 weeks I'd be like, I don't know if I should be here. And he'd be like, and I'd be very energetic, as you can imagine, but much more than at 18, 19 years old than at 25.
Yes.
And I'd be like, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if it's for me. He's like, calm down, calm down. I was like,
yes.
Do you think God might be calling you to be a priest? I'm like, yeah. But he's like, but then I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be wasting the church's money. Like, this is not fair. And he's like, Stephen, calm down. Do you think God might be calling you to be a priest? I'm like, yes. And stay the 4 years, get your degree, and then discern from there. And that was the best advice I got. It was my spiritual director, Father Jim Mannion.
Excellent.
And and then I entered the first year of theology at Dunwoody. Still, when I entered, still more likely than not, I would say, I was moving towards the priesthood.
Sure.
But still wasn't ready to make promises yet. But I think during that first year of theology, I was working in this group called LAMP, Lay Apostolic Mission of the Poor in the Bronx, serving the monetarily poor there. And really, what I would do is there was like a food truck, and the missionaries would serve the food truck, and I would just be on the side, and it would be, this first time I would be dressing like a priest. And people would just come up to me and share with all their problems and their worries, whether they lost their child or they're being evicted from the home or whatever, and they would just bring them to me and all their problems, like, who am I? And they would just ask me to pray with them, and I did. And that was like the first time I was the priest. I wasn't a priest. So I think that time after first theology was really like, yeah, this is God's calling me to be his priest, especially in the diocese.
Because I loved when you were interviewing me, and I think you've said it a few times, you said, Bishop Harris, if you're listening, Coach put me in.
Yes.
So if he called you tomorrow, and it's a crisis, we need priests.
I, as you know, during the year, I get to help out the hospitals every Thursday with Father Daniel.
Right.
And Father Daniel, he was mentoring me in the beginning, and he still is. But eventually you just give me the lesson, I'll just go visit the patient, especially in the ICU and the CCU.
Sure.
The intensive care unit and the critical care unit. And for all intents and purposes, I was the priest. I can't anoint someone, I can't hear confession, but I'll bring them Jesus and to sit with them.
Exactly.
It's been very, very hard not to be in the hospital right now. Even though I know I'm a lay person and I can't do that.
Yeah.
I want to be with the nurses. I want to be with especially the people on their deathbed, or just the normal people who don't have.
You feel like you're kind of on the bench right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the playoffs and I'm sitting on the bench.
Sure.
There's this Seinfeld episode. I don't suggest Seinfeld. It's pretty inappropriate. But back when I was watching it.
Seinfeld.
And there's an episode that said, Serenity now! Serenity now! I'm like, ordain me now! Ordain me now!
Well, if it were up to me, I would say yes, but I don't think he hasn't called me yet. Although I felt my phone ring a few minutes ago, so maybe it's him. We'll see. As you look forward to priesthood, though, you're obviously very excited about it. You're all in now at this point. What is the thing you are think you're going to be best at as a priest? Now, as a priest, you have a lot of different jobs. You wear a lot of different hats in so many different ways. But what is the thing you think you're gonna be best at? And I think you know what the question I'm gonna be asking next.
I don't know what the question you're gonna ask us actually. I'm not that bright. I think it's been pointed out to me these last year or two. I think a charism or a gift God has given me is to build community.
Good.
With priests, but especially with the people.
That's huge.
To build a parish that's a real community. You can minister 9 different ways, but when you look at the early church, you see community, like it's there. And I think a gift God has given me is to build community. So I'm very excited.
So you wouldn't be what I call the cuckoo clock priest. You just pop out, say mass, Pope.
No, that's all I want to do.
Yeah. Say mass, disappears. Say mass, disappears. Say mass. I'm
so excited.
Good. Now, this was my next question. What do you think is going to be your area, weakest area? What do you think you're going to struggle with as a priest? We all have strengths and weaknesses. What do you think you might face as a weakness as a priest?
I think being here at St. Patrick's has been super helpful, especially under Monsignor camp, learning how to be a pastor.
Okay.
I know how to minister, I think at this point, in many ways. I know how to minister to people, but I don't know how to run a million or multi-million-dollar company or a business, or it's in the church isn't that. So I don't know how to do that at the moment, but having good people, I guess, there to assist you and to work with you.
Right.
I don't know. It's a good question.
No, but that's something you can always, I'm sure you'll have a good system of mentors and support where you can always reach out and get advice from guys who've gone ahead. How many years do you want to be a priest?
I'm a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. I don't want to that. Put me a coach.
See, I've always found when talking to some of the kids, when they're like, how many more years are you going to do this? When you're going to retire? And I've always found that question answering interesting, because we do retire in a sense.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to retire.
You don't want to retire. You want to die with your boots on.
We both very much looked up to Monsignor McDonald. I can't imagine being a pastor at 75, but I always had this feeling I'm not going to make it super old. That sounds really bad, but maybe it's just because I'm young and young people can't imagine being old. Sure. But I don't know. I can't imagine retiring.
Yeah, got it. What within the priesthood? I said we often wear many hats. As priests, we are almost grief counselors, marriage counselors, priests, saying liturgies, school teachers, working in hospitals. We're doing all these different things. The list could go on. So within the priesthood, very often you'll find guys who, even as we're all priests, have different what we call vocations within a vocation. So you have priests who then really spend their priesthood as seminary professors. You have priests who spend their priesthood, like Father Daniel, in the medical fields, as hospital chaplains and getting expertise there. You have priests who, yes, they're ordained, but then they are going out and doing missionary work in the Middle East, in China. So we know that you want to be a priest. That's clear. aside from just saying a parish priest, what would be a vocation within your vocation that draws your attention? If you had to say.
My confirmation saint is Francis Xavier.
Okay.
So Francis Xavier is, you used to pray the Jesu with his right arm.
Yes.
And that right arm that baptized 100,000 people.
Maybe explain that. What was the right
So Saint Francis Xavier was one of the founding members of the Jesuits, and he went to Japan and India and baptized approximately, we say, about 100,000 people.
Wow.
So he's buried somewhere. I mean, India? Question mark.
I believe he's in India, but
And
he's
then
not there in the Jesu.
His right arm, simply his right arm, is on display in this church of the Jesu. Was also St. Ignatius buried, but oh my God, he's over there. Francis Xavier. So I'm very much attracted. I always had that attraction to be a missionary.
Okay.
I was discerning for, I don't know how much I could say, but I was discerning a little of the archdiocese in the military, like even to being a chaplain for them. I saw I like the idea of jumping out of planes, and I'm 25, I'm young, I am physically fit to an extent, and I could go up top quick. I could be one of the youngest Catholic priests in the army.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I could be airborne qualified, I could go to the Middle East, I could do all of that.
Yes.
And I was attracted to that. Like Stephen was attracted to that. But as I was discerning it, I was like, Stephen is attracted to that. That's not where God is leading me.
Okay.
And I saw where the need was for me, where God was asking me, there's more of a need in Diocese of Rockville Center.
Okay.
And then, how I saw it in the Middle East.
Okay.
So, I'm very much, I'm not really answering your question too well, I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
I want to be a missionary, and I see that especially here in the parish with the families. You do this so well, Father Mystics, you really just, you grow close to so many of these families, and you really, you show them what it is to be a priest, and you be their priest. And you're doing that with all of the parish, and it's been, I don't know. So
you're looking to be that evangelization effort, bring that evangelization effort, missionary effort, recognizing that people here in Huntington need to hear the message.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Francis Xavier brought it. You don't need to go to China anymore.
Exactly.
There are people living on Main Street who don't understand the message. So you want to be the priest, the missionary to them.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Let's see. Let's switch gears here a little bit.
Okay.
What's your favorite animal?
Dog.
Why?
They're fun.
They're fun. They're fun. What's your favorite color?
Car?
Color.
Blue.
Why?
Mary. And I like
Mary. Okay, blue. What shade of blue? Darker or lighter? I love blue.
Darker.
You like darker.
Ish. But not dark. There was a color you mentioned the other day, the blue.
Royal blue.
Yes, that's
Royal
it.
blue.
Royal
Okay.
blue.
So when you're a priest, you're gonna wear only black? My kids ask me that a lot. When are you okay changing into something else?
I kind of like the Monsignor McDonald wear. I like to wear almost clerics almost always.
Solely, okay.
But I see even now as a seminarian, on my day off, if I go somewhere, part of me doesn't sometimes I'm just absolutely exhausted. I don't want to be dressed up as a priest because someone could be like, "Hey, Father," I'm like, I'm just drained. I'm just absolutely and imagine that could be 100 times multiplied times 100. So right now at 25, I love the idea of almost always wearing clerics.
Right.
But as when it actually happens. But when I run, when I work out, when I just hang out, I'm not always wearing clerics.
Yeah, so I find as a priest, I think you hit the nail on the head. We always love our priesthood, but wearing the collar, you're almost automatically setting up a triage station for whoever sees you.
Yeah.
I find for me it's really, really important. I like to put on the jeans and different shoes and a jacket and be able to go for a walk. And so as a priest, because you are so high energy, and we'll get to the working out in a second, but as a priest, how would you expect to get Stephen time, healthy? How are you going to take care of yourself? So we know that the burnout rate for priests is extremely high. It's one of our worst enemies. Yeah. So how are you going to make sure that even with all your high energy and with people constantly pulling at you, you're not going to crash and burn?
So one of the things I started the past couple of years actually now, I try to do hermitage. Okay. So I go a day of prayer, at least every month now, often every other week, I go down to the seminary up the road on West Neck Road. Spend the day in silence. Spend the day in prayer. And sometimes they give me a room. Sometimes I just hang out in the common room. And Monsignor Fake Director just sees me. I have my shoes off from reading a book on one of the lives of the saints. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Sorry, Monsignor." He's like, "You're fine. You're fine." So just taking that time for prayer, for relaxation. I turn my phone off, and just that good rest. That good.
Excellent.
Other days, I might just. like some days I'll just watch Netflix for 10 hours or whatever.
That's
or,
great.
So some days it's holy days off. Some days it's just
Sure.
like that natural. I want to binge watch Wi-Fi for 10
Of course,
hours.
yeah. Because as you mentioned, we all know you love to work out and exercise, but you've mentioned a lot of the things you mentioned are related to, you tie it back into priesthood, you tie it back into your spiritual life, which is incredible. But your listeners want to know, what do you do just for fun?
Do for fun.
On the non-holy days.
On the non-holy
You're not
days,
doing that.
if I can, I like to go hiking, like in the mountains, upstate New York.
Sure.
I meet up with some friends, some of them are priest friends, some of them are just friends from childhood. I just do on day off. I do like to watch TV.
That's awesome.
I have
awesome. Favorite show?
Favorite show is my favorite show of all time is Psych from
Psych.
USA Network.
Okay.
That's my favorite show, and I like a lot of those USA Network shows. Also
Okay.
CBS shows like Hawaii Five-0 and like
Awesome.
those kind of shows.
Awesome. Well, last question now for our listeners. Last question. I'm going to ask you to tell them one thing that they do not know about you that you think rounds you out as a human being.
Oh my gosh.
It can be anything you want. Take your time. Dun, 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 dun.
I'm a beloved son of the Father.
We
I
knew
know,
that. We knew that.
How are we round out that they don't know? How am I supposed to answer this?
That's the question.
Oh my gosh.
Putting him on the spot, guys. Putting him on the spot. Who is Stephen Rooney?
Oh my gosh. Beloved son of the Father.
That's good enough. That's
Oh
good enough.
man.
All right, guys. Thanks, Mr. Rooney, for joining. We loved talking to you, hearing your stories. We love your energy. We love you here at St. Patrick's. Tune in, guys, for our next story is
Father Daniel
tomorrow night. Father Daniel Neal, our hospital chaplain, to hear all about him. And keep tuning in for the Vocation series and praying for vocations from St. Patrick's. Bye, guys.
Thank you.